everyone, I'm Dolores. I'm coming to you from Force Community. Welcome everyone for joining Web3 Infinity Hackathon open ceremony. We are super excited to be here with you guys today. I want to give a huge thanks to everyone who is currently here and watching the open ceremony. On July 1st, the 2022 Web3 Infinity Hackathon is open for registration, co-hosted by Falcon Foundation, and the Force Community with a generous more than 100,000 prize pool and a number of exclusive special benefits. We have been super surprised to receive hundreds of registrations from developers in many regions, including Asia and the US and Europe. Some of these developers has signed up to participate in the IPFS tribute story track. Others are focused on cross-chain builders, as well as some participants are deeply involved in dApp development. So all of these participants have joined the passion of creators in the code world. And we have not only seen the enthusiasm of many eco developers, but also feel the concern of all our friends. We are looking forward to seeing more developers participate in the hackathon and building a prosperous Web3 ecosystem together. So happy to be here with you today in opening ceremony of the hackathon, where we are going to gather organizers, sponsors, judges, and famous investors to discuss more insights about the hackathon. Hello， 大家好，欢迎来到原力区的直播间，我是本次活动的主持人武荣，欢迎大家来到我们Web3 Infinity Hackathon 的开幕式。那7月1日，我们迎来了2022年度由 Falcon 基金会和原力区联合主办的 Web3 Infinity Hackathon， 拥有10万加美金丰厚的奖金池以及新加坡峰会等等专项的多项的这样子的特殊福利。那目前我们很惊喜的收到了数百个来自亚洲和美洲以及欧洲等等很多地区的开发者报名信息。在这些开发者中呢，有的报名者参与到 IPFS 分布式存储的这样的赛道，也有专注于跨链的构建，还有参与者呢深耕到具有创新性的 dApp 的开发中。在本次的 Web3 Infinity Hackathon 的4大挑战里面，这些参与者尽情的在代码的世界里面就是挥洒着属于创造者们的热情。我们不仅可以看到许多生态开发者的热情，也切身的感受到了很多建设者的关注。那在此呢，也是非常感谢大家的支持。我们期待有更多的开发者可以一起参与进来，共建 Web3 的这样一个繁荣的生态。今天很开心的和大家一起迎来了黑客松的开幕式。在这里，我们将会汇集主办方以及赞助者，还有评委代表和投资方来探讨关于黑客松的更多见解，也深切的期望有更多的新鲜血液加入到这样包容、开放又热烈鲜活的 Web3 世界里面来，在加密行业中迸发出智慧和创意的火花。虽然我们的黑客松已经开始了2周了，但仍然有很多人向我们咨询，并且大家和我们一样，都在为举办一场非常精彩的黑客松感到非常兴奋和期待。因此呢，首先由我来为本次的黑客松进行一个简单的基础的介绍，来让大家可以了解 Fail Singapore 以及 Web3 Infinity Hackathon. So it has been 1 week, but we are already getting tons of people asking us and talk about ideas, and so excited for this awesome hackathon here in order to have a great hackathon. So I want to just take a moment to let you know about Fail Singapore and what it is what we do. So I will hand it over real quick to hackathon team to go ahead and start with introductions. Together with Protocol Labs and the Falcon Foundation, we are organizing Fail Singapore Summit this August. It will take place on August 16 to 19, 2022. A 4-day event with insightful talks from top-notch speakers, panel discussion from the Falcon ecosystem participants to Web3 co-builders, as well as numerous talks, build-ups, shops, happy hours together with absolutely fun across the island to connect directly with all ecosystem partners, investors, and the clients across the whole blockchain industry. As a part of the Fail Singapore Summit, Web3 Infinity Hackathon will bring together to attract more developers from all over the world and multi-chains to show their enthusiasm and talent to build with Web3. And the hackathon is offering a 6-week incredible hackathon journey from July 1st in 2022. Here you can get an opportunity to play a key role in the Web3 world, learn practical skills, and have a huge chance to gain grants and investment for your projects. The hackathon sponsored by Filecoin and the Filecoin Foundation, and we're also so proud to partner with these great protocols and organizations. Besides, Fluence is supporting this 6 weeks online hackathon as well. So with 100,000 prize pool, we will give back value to participants upon completion of the event and function as an incubator to help all the participants for the future growth. And the banner setting, as you can see here, is the first place is getting 15,000. The second place will have 2 teams. Each team will get 10,000. And the third place will have the 3 teams. Each team will get 6,000 and so on. Besides, another 5,000 is outstanding award of the Fluence for 2 teams. Each one can get 2015 of this. The Web3 Infinity Hackathon registration channel is now open, and the participants can sign up on dApp post or on the official website to submit their project. So that's what's going to happen with the Fail Singapore and the Web3 Infinity Hackathon. If you haven't started working on a bounty, you still have a lot of time to start a project and submit the hackathon. It's not over until 22nd July. I really want to make sure that let people know how they can get started so that everyone can see how to start it. And so there are so many speakers and judges to give us help. We really want to give a huge thanks to our general sponsors, speakers, and judges and tutors, including Protocol Labs, Filecoin Foundation, and more. And the technical seminar will also be taking place from July 6th as well. We hope to provide such technical seminars and learning workshop with comprehensive support. You should visit our official website to find out more about these videos and the live seminars. Last but not least, I want to remind everyone that don't forget to keep an eye on our schedule. Web3 Infinity Hackathon begins on July 1st, 2022, and the submission will be accepted until July 22nd. Okay, so guys, enjoy your hackathon journey. Now, Web3 Infinity Hackathon 作为 Fail Singapore Summit 的一部分啊，然后 Fail Singapore 就熟悉我们的观众可能已经知道了，是我们与 Protocol Labs 和 Filecoin Foundation 一起组织的，在2022年的8月16日至19日举行，为期4天的活动。从 Filecoin 生态参与者到 Web3 的这个共同建设者们，那活动汇集了众多的演讲、聚会、研讨会以及 Happy Hour， 以及与整个区块链行业所有生态系统合作伙伴和投资者的交流。那作为 Fail Singapore 峰会的一部分呢，Web3 Infinity Hackathon 将吸引更多的来自世界各地和多链的开发者，展示他们使用 Web3 构建的热情和才华。Web3 Infinity Hackathon 也将从2022年的7月1日就已经开始了啊，从7月1号开始，也将开始提供为期6周的黑客松之旅。在这里呢，不仅可以获得在 Web3 世界中成为建设者的机会，学习实用的技能，而且新兴的项目也有巨大的机会得到一些资助和投资。那我们本次的赛事设置的总奖金池是超过10万美元的。 一等奖是15000，然后给到一个获奖团队啊。那二等奖呢，就是分别给予2个团队1万元的奖金的这样一个奖励，还包括荣誉提名奖和专项主题奖，以及我们的最具潜力奖和最具创意奖和社区选择奖。那我刚才也有提到的这些奖项，在我们的官网的主页上，大家都可以看到。然后也可以关注我们 dApp的报名的这个页面去投票，然后获得前3的团队，每个团队也会获得1000元的资金奖励。那另外我们提到的刚才我们的合作伙伴 Fluence 也是给大家准备了2个杰出影响奖的这样一个特别的支持，然后每个团队可以获得2500U的这样一个资金的奖励。那除了以上非常丰厚的奖金呢，我们还就是除此以外呢，还为30个优秀的团队准备了12000的这样一个奖金池。那每个优秀的参与者团队呢，都可以获得相等金额的这样一个奖金的这样鼓励和支持。那总体算下来呢，我们有将近50个获奖的名额来等待着大家，欢迎大家来参与。欢迎大家在官网 failsingapore.io 的黑客松页面或者 dApp的报名渠道啊，这也是我们指定的唯一的官方的这样一个渠道。当然也可以在dApp的网站上直接搜索，在小伙伴们点进注册报名之后，我们的 Hackathon 最新的动态都会第一时间发送到大家的邮箱，防止错过一些重要的信息。然后我这边也是提醒大家一下，注意时间，就是在7月22日晚上北京时间的11点45分会截止，请大家注意时间，就不要错过这个提交时间了。那了解更多的信息呢，有疑问也可以通过页面的联系方式，然后可以联系我们，然后也欢迎参与者，然后进入到我们的 Discord 社群互动和交流。在群里面呢，有技术指导为大家解答技术难题。然后我们在7月6日也已经迎来了我们的线上的直播课程，在每周3的周3，就是每周3和每周5的18点，都为大家准备了相应的课程。欢迎大家继续关注我们的相关的活动预告，欢迎大家去我们的 Discord 社群里面沟通和交流，也期待大家在黑客松的旅程中啊，开心愉快，可以取得满意的成绩。So let's go ahead and move to our next guest. Lucas from Protocol Labs will share us previous hackathon review and the version of the organizer. She shared us a video for us. So let's get started. 月游这边可以放一下。
OK， 请允许我共享屏幕。
With you today. Hi everyone and welcome to the Web3 Infinity Hackathon. I'm super excited that we're gathered here today to kick off this event, and I can't wait to see what projects you all will build over the course of this event. My name is Lucas. I co-lead the IPFS and Filecoin Builders program, and our mission is to inspire and empower the next generation of Web3 builders and help them succeed in turning their ideas into projects and startups that help accelerate the vision of making the internet more robust, resilient, and secure. Great. With that, let's kind of dive right in. There's a couple of things that I'd like to do with you today. 4 things. One is I'd like to do a super brief intro to the technology, IPFS and Filecoin. Then I'd like to share a perspective on where the IPFS and Filecoin ecosystem stands today and what we've achieved over the past year and a half as a community since the mainnet launch of the Filecoin network. Then as a third element, I'd like to double click into some of our efforts that are geared towards builders and like yourselves, and talk about the crucial role that hackathons play in the context of empowering builders and fueling ecosystem growth. And then finally, I'd like to leave you with some ideas on what you might want to build on and some of the technologies and services available to you, and some resources that you may want to dive into as you start building. Awesome, cool. So let's start with a kind of quick overview of the technologies. IPFS is what makes the internet work peer-to-peer. the key change here is that IPFS, the interplanetary file system, addresses content by what it is instead of where it is. So it replaces a folder or file location with a content identifier. And you can see in the visual on the chart here on the left that we're moving from an internet that's centralized around one single server that a lot of people access to a web that looks a lot more decentralized, right? So all these orange dots now become nodes that can host content on the IPFS network. Filecoin is a storage layer that kind of builds on top of IPFS, and it's really storage designed for Web3 from the ground up. It uses IPFS as a building block and shares all the benefits of content addressing and that resiliency that comes through that. And it leverages verifiable cryptographic proofs to ensure that all the Filecoin storage providers that exist around the globe are actually storing the data and keeping it safe. And the visual on the left here helps understand how that kind of works. So as a storage client, you may approach a storage provider and enter into an agreement with them that's arbitrated by the Filecoin blockchain to store a piece of data for a certain amount of time, right? So that's one of these black boxes here, Filecoin storage deal. And then you can use smart contracts or other kinds of services to perpetually renew that storage deal and build towards permanence by kind of in sequence adding more Filecoin storage deals. And you can also, make any number of copies that you may want to make of a given data set by increasing the replication factor and maybe even mirroring files across different storage providers. So that's very briefly IPFS, a content addressing and routing protocol, and then Filecoin, a storage network that uses crypto-economic incentives to ensure that whatever you're addressing and routing, that you want to address and route, is actually still stored and available on the network. Great. And where do we stand kind of today with the Filecoin network? We have, it's really like, what's key here is that our ecosystem is the strongest asset in growing the Filecoin network. And let me just kind of double click into a couple of components of that. So on the storage capacity side, we now have over 4,000 storage providers across the globe that are providing a combined storage capacity of 18 million terabytes. And that's about 1% of total cloud storage capacity in the world. And then on the other side, the demand side, we're seeing an explosively growing ecosystem that is, driving use cases and new products and services that really activate all of that storage supply. And today we have over 330 startups that are building in our ecosystem and over 9,000 developers contributing. And Outlier Ventures here in that tweet kind of stated that Filecoin as such is one of the top 5 most actively developed blockchain protocols. And I'd like to kind of double click into how we get people excited to building on top of Filecoin and IPFS, how we got to this number of 330 startups. And that's where hackathons come in, right? So hackathons are actually a key driver of attracting builders to our ecosystem. Since the inception of this program around April last year, we've had, participate in, I don't know exactly how many it is, but probably north of 50 or 60 hackathons to date. We've touched more than 30,000 developers by hackathons this year alone. Since April last year, we received over 2,300 submissions, and that means that over 7,000 developers have really taken the time during a hackathon to build a project and submit it for one of our prizes. And over the course of 2022, we're aiming to add another 3,000 submissions this year. So that's kind of what hackathons really are for us. It's just this starting point for builders to experiment with the technology and build out an idea and turn it into a little bit of a prototype. What's super important here is that hackathons are really just the beginning, right? So we're excited to support builders across this entire journey that just begins in a hackathon. And you can see a few anecdotal case studies here. Secured Finance, which in July last year raised 4 million in funding, actually started in a hackathon, right? So in summer 2020, they participated in the IPFS, which is another hackathon, and then kind of progressed their journey. And we've been helping them and in touch with them until they actually successfully raised a round and now are a thriving startup in our ecosystem. And another example here more recently, MetaPals, which recently in the first quarter of 2022 joined the Techstars Accelerator, actually also started in a hackathon, right? And that's just in November 2021. So just a few months before they joined the accelerator program. They then went on in December here to apply for a grant to support some of their next steps. And that's really what we're trying to do, right? So this hackathon that you're part of today is hopefully just the beginning of a much longer journey through this, programming that we do for builders that's really designed to empower you and help you with your next steps. There's all sorts of alternative ways that I won't go into in more detail here, but of course, we've seen multiple people take on roles in either with the company that I work for or with companies in our ecosystem, and they also started in a hackathon. So really see this as an opportunity for both professional growth and maybe building your own startup, or as a way to solidify your expertise in this space. And then it's also a tremendous opportunity for personal growth. So there will be a lot of interesting folks who are participating in this hackathon, and I really encourage you to make the effort and build connections with them and connect with them. So that's the builders program, and hackathons obviously a crucial part here. I'd like to now kind of double click into how you can get started with building on Filecoin and IPFS. The first thing that I'll say is that interacting with the Filecoin and IPFS protocols itself is quite challenging. It's quite complex. So I would encourage you to explore some of this, what we call storage helpers in these slides, and I'll double click into two in just a second. They abstract away a lot of the complexity of dealing with IPFS and Filecoin directly and make it much easier for you to get to solve the problem that you're trying to solve. So you can, focus your time on where it counts the most and really build a solution that matters. And then, there's Filecoin integrates with all major smart contract chains. So you have Neo, Hedera, Ethereum, Chainlink, all of those things encourage you to kind of explore what's out there and make sure that you're integrating with some of these other things and tapping into all the work and resources that are available in those ecosystems as well, because it will make your project much more powerful. And then, on the front end, there's multiple ways for you to kind of click into existing work as well. So please don't reinvent the wheel. See what's out there and then focus your time on where you can make the biggest difference. And two things that I'd like to double click into here in this yellow storage helper bubble is the NFT storage solution, which is a service that's specifically designed for developers who want free and multi-generational decentralized storage for their NFTs. The website is nft.storage. What it does for you is it takes your content, gives it that content identifier that you need for IPFS, and then it will upload it and make it available on the IPFS network, and also simultaneously back it up to the Filecoin network and turn it into what I talked about earlier, one of those black boxes, the storage deals, and actually replicate it 8 times and then perpetually renew it. It's very easy to use. There's even a drag and drop interface, so I encourage you to go to the website and kind of explore that. And then for more general use cases of just storage, if it's not just about NFTs, I'd encourage you to check out Web3.storage. It's, as I said, it's kind of for general purpose storage needs, very similar to NFT.storage in that it makes your data available on the IPFS network and then also automatically replicates it with 6 Filecoin storage providers around the world, and 1 terabyte is always free and similarly easy to use. Great. And now let's talk a little bit about all the great things that you can build with these technologies. I'm just going to go through these relatively quickly and just want to kind of open the window here to some of the opportunities. One big one is metaverse and games, right? These are typically very large assets that require a lot of storage capacity. And here's a few that I'd encourage you to check out and maybe see if you can improve them or build features around them. Huddle is kind of like a Web3 version of Zoom. Audius is the Web3 version of Spotify, or a version of it, so designed for artists and musicians. And then we have Currents, which is also kind of in the music space, and Inflow Music. So lots of great opportunities. Check out what else is kind of possible there. NFTs, obviously a big one. We have Mona, which is a metaverse gallery where you can build kind of your own 3D spaces and then mint them as NFTs and trade them. But you can also design experiences in these spaces. So super interesting to kind of explore this intersection of metaverse and NFTs. And then same with different games where you can take your NFTs and migrate from one game space to another. And some other ones here that I'll let you explore at your own time. That's also obviously the consumer storage, right? So think about the next generation of maybe iCloud or Google Drive, where people can build new solutions. There's 2 here, even one that I find super interesting is ChainSafe Files. It feels very sleek, and when you log in, it's almost kind of like a Google Drive. So I would encourage you to also explore opportunities around making storage in Web3 more accessible to the general population of people who are willing to store their files. And then there's obviously a couple of opportunities in the DeFi space, and also in backing up, large and important data sets to the Filecoin network, right? So Filecoin already stores the Shoah Foundation's archive of testimonials from genocide survivors, the Internet Archive, you maybe know the Wayback Machine stores a backup to Filecoin, and lots of climate data and public city data sets are stored on the Filecoin network. So this is just to give you a little bit of a sense for what's out there and what you might want to explore, but really the world is your oyster. There's a lot more opportunity. And then I want to leave you with this here, which is like IPFS and Filecoin together really hold huge potential for developers. There's a few things that I'm super excited for that are on our roadmap. We're going to turn the Filecoin network not only into a storage network, but also into a compute network with the launch of the Filecoin virtual machine. And we're going to build a marketplace around retrieval, which will turn the Filecoin network into a very highly performant content delivery network once it's really up and live. We're working very hard to make Filecoin more green and verifiably green. So really think of Filecoin as the foundation of Web3. And if you're starting a project here, there is a whole lot of potential and a lot of opportunities for you to continue building. 2 resources, and then that's kind of it from me for the day that I want to leave you with. One is on hackathons.filecoin.io/ #start-building. You can find all sorts of resources with information on how to get started. You can book time with our developer advocates, and you can join our community office hours. So would encourage you to check that out. And then of course go to hackathons.phil-singapore.io to find out the information about this event and key deadlines, submission criteria, judging guidelines, all of that. So I encourage you to check that out too. And with that, I hope you have a great time at this hackathon. I'm here to support you. If you want to, just find me on Twitter. Find us and myself and the developer advocates on the Discord channel. And yeah, please do reach out, and please submit a project. We're super excited for it. And then I would love to help you all continue building your projects and turn it into a real startup or into a project. This is really just the beginning. Thank you so much, and looking forward to seeing you on the other side.
Okay, thanks, Lucas. Thanks for the amazing presentation. As Lucas mentioned, IPFS and Falcon is widely used, and there are a lot of developers are building with Falcon. And Lucas, on behalf of Vertical Labs and the Hackathon team, do welcome more people to be here with Web3 Infinity Hackathon to build your own project. So thanks, Lucas, again. I'm going to move to the next. Our next guest. Welcome to Brand Business Director Tim to share us the topic about versions of Falcon of Force Community and Hackathon team. Please share your screen.
Okay, sure. Yeah, thanks, Doris, about this. Can you give me a second? Yeah, can you see my screen now?
Yes, it's perfect. Please, let's get started.
Okay, thanks about that. Okay, great. Yeah, it's a great honor to be here today to talk about the Web3 Infinity Hackathon with you guys. And there are a lot of things we are going to cover today. And yeah, I want to say thanks to Lucas about this, because for this hackathon, we have planned for a very long time. And during this tough time, we still work it out. And this is a huge part of the sub-event of the Singapore Summit too. So look forward to that. And okay, let me begin with this. Okay, so we do have a few sessions need to share here. Yeah, the first one is a short introduction about this hackathon, and then we follow up by why do we want to do this hackathon. And there are also things that we have done, and what are we going to do next on behalf of Force Community. And there are also visions for the future too. So let me get it started with the introduction about this hackathon. I think for this part, you guys have seen a lot of these materials and articles on the website from the other people. They have all shared about the information about this hackathon. So what is the Web3 Infinity Hackathon? So we want to build this hackathon to attract a lot of Web3 developers to come here and to build their projects with Falcon and IPFS and Fluence all together. So we want to bring IPFS and Falcon to the forefront of developers' mind all over the world. And this is a huge sub-event of the first Singapore event, and which will be take around 6 weeks for this hackathon. And for reasons that we do have a good reason to join this hackathon. There will be around we do have over 100K and the generous prize pool here. And we do also have the top-notch support for you guys. And if you guys need workshops, and if you guys need any kind of support, you can always find us, and we can answer all kinds of questions when you are building a project with IPFS Falcon or with Fluence. So you guys can also join our Web3 community altogether, and we will provide all-around care and support for you during this time. So about the prize pool, yeah, all hackathons has a prize pool, but for this one, yeah, we do have over 100K, $100K US dollars in prize to be won by your team. So come here and join us. Okay, and we do also have 5,000 USD dollars, as you can see from the Fluence. So we do also have outstanding award from the Fluence team too. And there will be always a prize pool, a pool prize for the next best 30 teams. So which is around 12,000 for that. And we do have 4+1 tracks. The 4 tracks that will be focused with decentralized storage infrastructure, storage solutions for Web3 to power dApps with IPFS and Falcon. So during this part, you guys can build some tools or APIs or some other projects to, just easy for people to build with Falcon and the IPFS with your dApp. And we do also try to invite people and encourage people to bridge among other chains like with Filecoin, with Chainlink, with Near, with Polygon, all those kind of public chains altogether. And we do also have the very last track, which is sponsored by Flows. So here is Influence Web3 with Flows. So you guys can build with Flows with Aqua and with Flows, which is easy and simple to build your Web3 apps. So these are the sponsors, and I will talk more about that later. Okay, so this is a schedule from the July 1st, and this is that is a startup submission on their post, and until now we are having this opening ceremony. Yeah, I'm very thrilled to be here, and I just want to inform you guys on July 22. So that's the deadline for the submission. So do not miss this deadline to submit your amazing projects to build with IPFS, Filecoin, and Flows. Okay, and follow up, we will have demo day and judging. We will have winner announcement. And then one most special thing about that is we will have also, like award ceremony during the first Singapore Summit on August 16th. So do not miss that. And there are also special and amazing benefits for those teams that can be Singapore. So do not miss that chance too. And you can register now with scanning this QR code on this, and it will direct you to the their poster page, so you guys can submit your projects there. And we will have a lot of workshops here, which is live, and for the past few workshops we do have Mike Lee from Windows team, and we do have Long Fei. Yeah, he is a Protocol Labs developer advocate, and do also have William from King Labs, Wang Chao from IPFS Force team, and we do also have Flows Labs, research scientist Bernard, and we do also have a robot from the Filecoin Foundation. So do not miss this time to learn more about IPFS, Filecoin, and Flows, and that will be very helpful for you to build your own projects during this time. And mention a bit more about the first Singapore Summit. As we do mention just now, for Web3 Infinity Hackathon, this is a part of the first Singapore Summit. So first Singapore Summit will be happening this August, from August 16th to 19th. So during these 4 days, you will see numerous projects, numerous events organized here, and you can also come here to build your own or organize your own events here. That would be really amazing to talk with more than 100 influential speakers here, and a lot of activities and happy hours altogether. Yeah, we do also want to make it a very ecosystem party for all Web3 ecosystem partners and participants. So this is not for just with Filecoin. Yeah, we start with Filecoin, and we do also work on friends from the Web3 ecosystem to be here during the 4 days. Yeah, so about the next part, why do we want to do this hackathon? And before we do that, let me explain a bit more about the Force community. Okay, so about the Force community, we are a non-profit Web3 community. We do this with sharing and community Web3 with a lot of updates about the multiple chains, about the news and updates about Web3 ecosystem. So we do always try to share this with events. As you can see, for the past few years, we have organized a lot of events through the Force Open Days. But here we want to talk a bit about why and what is Web3. Okay, so this is very important. As this hackathon is Web3 Infinity Hackathon, right? So we want to talk a bit about hackathon, about this Web3 thing here. As a lot of people talk about this from the Web 1.0 to Web 2.0 and to now, or in the near future, which is Web3. So what is Web3? So as we do know, for Web3, we do believe this is the next huge phase in the evolution of the internet. As you can see, in the near future, there will be a decentralized, openness, and a great utilization of the internet for individual users. It will be really powerful by, as it powered by the blockchain technology. So, and with also crypto currencies, with NFT, metaverse, all those kind of infrastructures with multiple chains, yeah, we can achieve Web3 altogether. And what do we believe in Web3 as here? I'd like to mention a bit about the power of Web3 as it powered by the blockchain technology. So that is more secure And then also there's no such issues like privacy leak or something like that. And there will be limitless possibilities for people to building with Web3. And we do see a lot of investors, they are investing in Web3 projects. And we do see they earn a lot of money here and a lot of investment here to build for a better internet altogether. And we do see there will be a lot of chains altogether too. They are working together to make it possible. And now with IPFS protocol and Fluence, and we can see the infrastructure level of maybe the layer 1 or layer 0, that will be much more better with those amazing projects building to make a blockchain a better place. Okay, so to building the Web3, we cannot be alone, right? We cannot be alone with just one single chain or single project. We need to work together to do so. So for this hackathon, that's the same thing. Yeah, we do have sponsors from Firecon Foundation and the Fluence. And for Firecon, yeah, as you guys know, this is the world's largest decentralized network. There are a lot of dApps are building with IPFS and Firecon here. And actually, this is the very largest decentralized network here. And we do have seen a lot of data stored here, a lot of people and developers are building amazing projects with Firecon and IPFS too. And for Firecon Foundation, as you guys can see, this is foundation, right? So they do spend a lot of time and energy to support developers to build with IPFS and Firecon with your amazing Web3 projects here. So if you visit their page, you will see a lot of resources there and a lot of support there. You can try to apply a grant to support your developers, to support your teams to develop new projects and to create your Web3 projects here. And with Fluence, this is a decentralized platform designed to enable freedom of digital innovation via peer-to-peer applications. And you can build very simple and easy ways of your Web3 projects through Fluence and iQuad, and that is part of their program too. So try to go and try to visit their website to learn more about that. Okay. And the things we have done and what we are going to do next. So there's a lot of things we have done before with Force Community. Yeah, for this video, we'll talk about some of the events that we have done before with Force Open Day. Yeah, a lot of people they are familiar with us to know we do have Force Open Day on every Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Actually, over the past 3 years, that has never been interrupted. And there are more than 200 events organized. And we are also working together with the media metrics in the blockchain industry and the other traditional industry too, to work together and to share more updates about those amazing Web3 projects. And we do also have reached a large community audience here. And we do also welcome friends from China and from abroad to join us together. And these are the pictures, as you can see, about the Force Open Day and about the large event we have done with Firecon's 1 year anniversary. During that time, there are also local meetups organized at that time too. But now, due to the COVID restrictions here, this kind of thing cannot be happening. But we can see, right, this is always at Singapore. So do not miss that chance to come here and celebrate all the whole Web3 ecosystem altogether. And as a Web3 community, we are not just doing with projects. We are also having, continue with our efforts to sharing updates about market chains and with books, reports, and a lot of things altogether. As you can see, we do have published about annual report of the Firecon, and that is designed by IPFS Force. And we do also have a book published last year, which is the cornerstone of Metaverse. And we do talk about Web3 and IPFS Firecon, Infinity, Flow, all those kind of amazing chains to build a Metaverse and Web3 in the near future. And soon and certainly, and we are going to have a Web3 ecosystem report too, and our team are working on that. And later we will have this report published to talk about all the Web3 ecosystem projects here and all the public chains here too. And for the vision for the future, we want to do this because we want to build a Web3 world together with a lot of friends and the ecosystem partners. So we do want to we do want to attract a lot of developers to be here and to join the Web3 world together with us here. And as you can see from the electric report, right, about the developers in Web3 world, we do see a lot of people are coming here, over the past few years. As you can see, there are 18,000 monthly active developers. They do commit code in open resource projects like Falcon, like Fluence, the other kind of projects here too. We do also mean the history, as this is the highest numbers in history, and alone in 2021 there are over 34,391 new developers committed code. This is really amazing, right? But we do see for Web3 this is really amazing, and we do see from this chart, right, from 2014 there are around just 3K people here, and now we do have over 30K people here. But we compared with a large like Web2 developers, for Web3 developers, this is still a small part of that. So we do want a lot of people to be here, especially developers, to come here to join this hackathon, to earn the grants and to get their fund to build amazing projects, so such we can make the Web3 world all together in the near future very soon, right? And to do this Web3 Infinity Hackathon, we do not want to do it just from this year. We want to do it over the past few years and in the near future altogether, to do this with friends across the Web3 ecosystem. So we do want to attract, and we do also want to empower or encourage different kind of participants to build a Web3 together. So Web3 Infinity Hackathon is a way to attract people to be here, like developers, to build Web3 projects all together here. And we do also want like more than builders, right? We do also want investors, developers, participants, and the ecosystem partners all together to be here to build the Web3 world. So that's the thing we want to do, and that's the thing that we are going to do it in the near future and in the long future. So that's the thing that we are going to do. And last part about that, I want to mention a bit about First Singapore Summit, because we do have special benefits for hackers here. And we do list a few points here. This is very amazing here. So for all the participants, all the developers who have joined the Web3 Infinity Hackathon, you guys have a huge chance to get these benefits for you. Okay, so there will be a real-time reporting about the progress of this hackathon, and later we will put it on our website and on the hackathon website too. And you guys can get free tickets. There will be around at least 3 tickets for each team during that time. So you guys can pay a visit to Singapore during that time for the First Singapore Summit. And there will be also demos at the Hackathon Award ceremony, which will be happening on August 16th in Singapore. And we do also try to fund some teams that if you guys want to be there in Singapore during that time, especially with those teams who have earned rewards. And there will be a huge chance for people to, like, if you are the champion of this hackathon, you guys can showcase and demo your projects at First Singapore Summit to all the participants, to all the audience during that time. And we do also have set events ready for you. So you guys can be there to organize your own events, and there will be free rooms for you. And so you guys can have to organize like workshops or local meetups during that time. That would be really amazing to meet people across the whole Web3 ecosystem. So that's the thing that I have covered today. So we do welcome you guys to be here to join Web3 Infinity Hackathon, and do not miss the deadline to submit your own projects during the July 22. Okay. So go hackers, everybody. So decentralize the data and empower the whole world. So we do need you guys together to be here. And we do also want to see you during that time in First Singapore this August. Okay, so go hackers and happy hacking. Okay, so my part has done. Thanks, everybody. Hey, Dolores, back to you now.
Okay, thanks Tim for talk about the vision as a Web3 community and the reason to do this hackathon. To build a Web3 world, we do need all kinds of participants to be here with developers, investors, clients, and more. So let's move on to the next guest. IPFS 4 CTO Steven share us about judging directions and the criteria. Let me transfer to Steven. Steven, please share your screen.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Dolores. Yeah, I will share my screen.
Okay.
Just wait a moment. Yeah, I will see this one.
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay. Yeah. Can you see my slides?
Yes.
Okay. Sure. Yeah. Hello, everyone. My name is Steven. I'm from IPFS community, and we are working on the IPFS and Filecoin ecosystem for a few years, and we are playing. I think we are playing a very important part of in this ecosystem, and we are also supporting this ecosystem. That's why the IPFS is co-hosting this hackathon. Well, we're talking about the Filecoin ecosystem. When has a picture showed a lot of this is because Filecoin is really complicated, and it's also a very important layer of the blockchain, the whole Web3. So as you can see here, we have the Filecoin, which actually has many creatives in the ecosystem, in blockchain, the consensus and the proof of storage, and its infrastructure and so on. Based on this, Filecoin is as the layer zero of the Web3, and actually, Filecoin is providing the storage for the whole Web3 to cooperate with other blockchains. Also supporting the Web2 and Web3 applications. So for the Filecoin ecosystem, in this year, we are focusing on the decentralized market and also the decentralized storage cloud, and also to power many apps. That's why we are we're hosting the hackathon to support developers in this ecosystem. If we look into the whole Filecoin system, Filecoin ecosystem picture, we could say that there are many applications and infrastructures and others are already there. For example, the pro clubs and to cooperate with many institutes to doing for research and developer cooperators, and also the token infrastructure had been set up, and also the storage storage infrastructure and also implementations. All of this had been set up, and we have the ecosystem partners to provide the investment and also accelerators, and we have some applications and also clients. But if you look into this, you will see that most of this is about the infrastructure and also the service level. We need more and more applications, and to have more novel ideas to build up, on the IPFS and Filecoin to grow up as a big ecosystem. Based on this, that's why we are supporting this. We are very welcome you as a developer to join the ecosystem and to develop some amazing projects to empower Web3 based on the IPFS and Filecoin. So while we're doing all of this, while we're doing Web3, there are so many applications which needs storage, especially decentralized storage. So while we're doing this, actually, there are many challenges. Well, we have these challenges, actually, there are also the opportunities to jump in and to build up all of this infrastructure. While we're talking about the challenges, and there are a few of them we're focusing on this time for the hackathon. Firstly, I will say it's the decentralized storage infrastructure. We already have some very basic storage market, and but we need to improve that. So we want you could have an amazing idea to build up some tools and create some protocols to improve the use of Filecoin and or IPFS and to build up a very efficient storage market or retrieval market, and also help on the Filecoin virtual machine, and to support the Filecoin Green and any others about the infrastructure, which is very, very important. And another one is that we need to have a better solution for the Web3. Because Web3 need to have the decentralized storage. Storage. We need to have some better and efficient solution to support, for example, the NFT, DeFi, and for example, SocialFi, GameFi, and any others, many projects to build on the Filecoin and IPFS, which providing storage services. And also, as a Web3, as I just mentioned, the Filecoin is just it's on the very lower level. We could call it the layer 0 as a storage. It could provide the infrastructure of storage and could work together with many blockchains. So we need to have developers to build up the bridge among the chains. So you could build an application on Flow or Near or Polygon or some or Ethereum, and at the same time to use the IPFS and Filecoin storage. This is one thing which is very, very important, and which could empower the whole Web3. And of course, you could build any applications which could use IPFS and Filecoin, included but not limited to the NFT, the creator and original services, or any others. This other the challenges we're facing, and we hope to have you to work together to overcome this. So you come back to how we judge the projects. Well, we have many projects submitted, and how we to judge which one is the best. So yeah, there are a few factors I want to mention. One is about the first thing is about the creativity, okay, right? And also about the impact, the technical accompaniment, and also the design, the UI design, UX design. But at the same time, the Filecoin and IPFS, how to use Filecoin and IPFS is the very important, which is the very important part. Regarding the the creativity, so you need to have some unique and novel features or ideas, and to solve some new problems, right? It's very unique. We are which is very good. And also you should think about your idea could have a very big impact in the future, and especially in Web3 or while an application moving from Web2 to Web3, and if your tool or your service could help it a lot. And of course, you need to have some code, right, to implement your idea, and needs to have a prototype, right? And also the UX, the UI, the design style, which is play Azure, and Azure in this kind of judgment to ranking your projects, and also your project, in this hackathon, your project you need to use IPFS and Filecoin, and you need to use some. You could directly to use this chain or IPFS, but if you only use the IPFS gateway, that will not be counted actually as a valid project here. So we request you to use IPFS Filecoin from some services provided by, for example, NFT storage, Web3 storage, or file drive, or S3, which could actually cross IPFS and Filecoin, right? And this one is very important. Okay, let me go to next. So here I have some guidance for you your submission, which is very simple, right? Firstly, you need to have the project description. You need to have description of the project's the features and the functionality, and also, of course, you need to have the names of the team members, and you need to provide each member's contact info, and you need to have code, and the code have to be open sourced, and you need to provide the public code repository link. At the same time, in your code, you need to have a comprehensive README. In this README, you need to include a very clear description about the project, how to work, and mention how to work with the IPFS and Filecoin. That's what we're doing. We're supporting this. So kind of detailed description about how do you access Filecoin and IPFS, and the technical details. And also you need to have a demo, have a video to demo your project, to have a brief introduction of your project, and also demonstrate the use of IPFS and Filecoin, which is required. Okay. So this is I think this is simple. Okay. Just follow this. Yeah, and also you need to be sure that what you can do or what you could not do, yeah, to be eligible, yeah, for this, yeah, for the prize. Yeah, firstly, a good thing is that as an individual, you could join more than one team. So you join the team A and team B, and to have different yeah, projects to join this hackathon. And also, well, you already join one team, and you could be also have your own project and as an individual, yeah, which is also okay. Okay, yeah. For any one team or organization to join this hackathon, the whole team must appoint and authorize one individual as a representative. Okay, and this representative need to represent, act, and enter the submission on their behalf. Okay, so one person to be on behalf of the whole team. Yeah, that will be okay. And something you need to pay attention. For example, if if in your submission there is a broken links, yeah, especially, yeah, for example, the repo or some contact info, something like that. So the broken links may disqualify the project. Yeah, so please pay attention on this. And as I mentioned before, you need to store your data of your project where a service to both IPFS and Filecoin. So you cannot only use IPFS HTTP gateway to store your data. So yeah, if you only use IPFS HTTP gateway to build your project, so your project will be not in the file in the final list. So yeah, please also pay attention on this. Yeah, please remember that. So the whole price is more than $100,000. Yeah. So okay, join us. I think that's all. Yeah. So we are very we're very excited to have you to join this the IPFS and Filecoin ecosystem, and let's together to build up many amazing things. Okay, that's all. Thanks.
Okay, that's really amazing. Thanks again, Steven. After listening to what Steven shared with us as a judge, I believe we all have a clearly understanding of how to participate in the hackathon. We really learn a lot from this. So thanks again, Steven.
Thank you.
So so let's move on to Avnich, Fluence Labs co-founder, to share us a word explained by sponsors. Avnich will share us a video about how to get a word of Fluence, which I believe this part is also what many people are looking forward to hearing. So 月游可以放 Avnich 的视频了。
OK， 好的。
Hello, I'm Evgeny, co-founder of Fluence, and excited to be here, excited to sponsor this hackathon to join IPFS and Filecoin. And I want to talk quickly about what Fluence is and how it can help you to build Web3 applications, and what cool you can build and how you can improve the world with Fluence. So let me open the presentation. So at Fluence, we're working at decentralized computing. And the big idea here is the following, that we believe that the new generation of computing is going to be peer-to-peer. Like all the computing going to move from centralized clouds to decentralized compute platforms. And, we already succeed in terms of decentralizing different aspects of our world. We pretty successful in decentralizing finance world with all the crypto innovations. We are quite successful in decentralizing storage of data with IPFS, Filecoin, and a variety of other solutions and innovations in this space. We doing quite good in terms of identity, decentralized identity. But I wanted to focus on what's the state of decentralized computing. And basically, we had several steps in terms of improving, like evolution of decentralized computing. We had this very specific design of decentralized computing called blockchains, where you have network of nodes who have consensus about every operation and store the same database of state transitions of transactions. And this design is very restricted, very limited because of, like, by design, because of the consensus and because of redundancy. So you cannot really put any kind of applications on blockchains just by design, because blockchains designed to be secure, and because they need to be secure, they have all of this redundancy and data replication and consensus trade-offs. The second type of decentralized compute solutions that we saw is like hardware marketplaces. We saw several of them over the years, and they were mostly focused on how do we create the market of hardware resources, so we can take the complex compute task, let's say video rendering, or like a complex scientific problem, and parallelize it to many devices, many workers to execute it. And they had some progress, and this is pretty cool. But what we are still kind of missing and looking for is more general purpose decentralized computing that would allow to, like, completely replace traditional clouds, completely replace Amazon, and provide similar level of, tooling and simplicity as we have right now in the cloud. Like, we have serverless, we have all of this like automatically scalable, replicated data storages. We have like a lot of cool SDKs. So can we have similar things, but in a decentralized world? And the need to having this decentralized computing comes from like the biggest need comes from the platform risk, right? So in Web2 world, we have several types of platform risks on the infrastructure level and on the application platform level. On infrastructure level, obviously, we have just too much applications and resources sitting in these few huge providers like Amazon, Azure, and Google. And if they have any issues, like technical issues or political issues, they just control too much. So it would be nice to have the more robust and resilient infrastructure that is not not controlled by a single entity at this level as we have today. Like 30% of all the infrastructure is in Amazon. It's kind of crazy. And the other part of this is the application platform risk, is all of this huge user data aggregators, basically social networks that have like billions of users already. And yeah, they still like they give API to developers. And like if you're an application developer, you can connect to their API and you can use some of their data. But they control this, like they control your access to their data. They still own data. It's not like users' data. It's not you as an application developer not really directly working with users' data. You work through these centralized links where they completely control and they can disable access for you at any time. And at Web3, we also have similar problem. Like besides a lot of decentralized applications and infrastructure created on top of blockchains, which themselves are replicated databases, replicated and decentralized databases. A lot of these projects still, in order to provide some, new developer APIs, new developer features on top of blockchains, they build centralized APIs. So now you have decentralized data layer in the blockchains, and then on top of it, you have centralized like OpenSea API. And then if you're an application developer and you want to use OpenSea API, you want to like query NFTs or do something with NFTs, you basically depend on this centralized HTTP API that OpenSea provides, that being served from their servers that also sitting probably in Amazon, which is like really bad because you still have this platform risk. You depend on OpenSea company, the team, that they will not decide to cut you off from this data, from this API. So your business depends on them instead of just being dependent on infrastructure. Like if you would be building on top of blockchain directly, you're probably fine because you can connect to potentially to any node. But we know that there are also like a lot of issues with that, but potentially you can connect to any node and can take the data and do something with it. But because blockchain data is not really optimized, it's very specific structure, it's not optimized for many use cases, we see like a lot of these centralized APIs popped up on top of decentralized data. So we see peer-to-peer computing and decentralized computing as a So we see decentralized and peer-to-peer computing somewhere in the middle between on-chain computing and centralized computing. It also allows to eliminate middlemen, but compared to blockchains, it brings no redundancy. Like it allows to have the same performance and the same speed for the computation that happens in a decentralized fashion. But it's also verifiable, it may have consensus, and it's cheap. So it's kind of like best of two worlds, but different set of trade-offs. And you basically can build any types of applications with it. Any centralized application API can become peer-to-peer application, decentralized application. So blockchain use cases include building like off-chain protocols or oracles or like data indexers or like cross-chain scenarios, data transaction relayers, things like that. And also you can build like all kind of like peer-to-peer messengers, social media, communications, like all of these traditional Web2 use cases, but now peer-to-peer and decentralized. And you can, the cool also set of use cases around DAOs. So because now if you have this off-chain decentralized network where you can execute any application, now you can actually control the execution by on-chain DAOs. So you can have on-chain DAO that runs some proposal, and this proposal triggers the execution of this off-chain network, which is pretty cool. So you can fully automate and fully manage applications via on-chain decisions. Like roughly, this is basically the Fluence platform, and the Fluence platform is allows you to do all of this, by using its development stack, its compute network, and its economy. So now I'll quickly talk about these things. So development stack of Fluence is very simple. So there's a WebAssembly runtime, which is sort of Docker replacement. Instead of when in Web2 world, you use Docker for running the code as a container for the code. Now you have lightweight, fast, and small WebAssembly instances of WebAssembly containers. And there is on top of WebAssembly execution, there is a specific language that we created called Aqua. This language you would use to express the workflow of your computation across the network. So you would say, I want to execute this WebAssembly function on this node, then take the result and then execute another function on another node, and then take the result and send it to user into to their device. And Aqua simplifies a lot of peer-to-peer complexity, abstract out a lot of complexity, so it's pretty cool. And Aqua basically is a like workflow. You're describing the computation workflow in Aqua. So if you have some sort of map reduce, you can just express it in a few lines of code. And also, like if you want to map Fluent stack to traditional Web2 stack, you may think of Marine WebAssembly runtime as Lambda functions, Aqua as workflows or like step functions on top of Lambda functions. And you can see a lot of cloud use cases like load balancing, orchestration, scaling, like optimizations and deployment written as libraries to Aqua. Again, example like traditional cloud native architecture of the application where you have centralized API gateway that coordinates the connections to microservices on the backend. And this is the single point of failure. This is the single point of control. And whoever controls this controls the whole application and its liveness. So Fluence allows pretty pure native way. So if you use an Aqua, if you create this workflows in Aqua that operates on top of assembly functions sitting on the nodes, you can create workflows that would implement your application, and they would not depend on some particular node or particular bottleneck. This is how Fluence peer looks like. We have two types of peers in JavaScript and Rust. They're a little bit different. They're designed to be as similar as possible, but they're a little bit different. But basically, what's every Fluence peer runs Aqua, runs Marine, and plugs the data. So it's important to say that like any computation, it doesn't happen in vacuum. Like every computation, always connected to data. You take the data from somewhere, you compute, you put data somewhere. The same way as you do in Amazon Lambda functions. By default, all Fluence peers come with IPFS, but you also can connect any blockchain like Ethereum or Near. You can connect Filecoin or any Web2 API. Potentially, you can install on the same machines Fluence peers together with any software and access like a data provider and access the data provider from Fluence peer. We have this implemented via adapters. You would need to create special WebAssembly code called adapter that would access the data. So basically, Fluence, like every peer is different on the network. Like every peer can, like some peer can provide access to Ethereum, some peers can provide access to IPFS, some peers can just be pure compute peers, and it depends on peers, whatever they have access to or whatever they authorize to have. And the whole stack of Fluence is like the whole vision. It's going to be a lot of services that would be implemented as Aqua libraries that would be available for everyone, and that would bring similar developer experience as you have in the cloud in terms of simplicity and so on. We now haven't built the whole stack yet, but we have WebAssembly, we have Aqua, so we can play with all of this and try implementing your protocols and your applications. Yeah, so one thing about trust and or trustlessness of the computation, because this is not a blockchain, there is no mandatory consensus across all the network. But if you need to, like, if you don't want to trust the nodes that execute your application on the Fluence network, you have basically two ways that possible now to implement some sort of security around it. First, you can select on the nodes that you trust, and we have the notion of trust graph, which is like, works similarly to Web of Trust, where you have the trusted authorities that you select yourself. And then you can query whoever they trust, and you can discover these nodes on the network and use them because they are trusted by authorities you trust. The other way is you can write the simple consensus algorithm, like a simple verification algorithm on Aqua. And we have some examples. You can find it. It could be just, when you want to select several nodes that serve your application and ask them to execute same piece of code and sign the result, like provide signature, and then you collect the signatures, and then you consider these data pieces a result of computation, being trustful because several nodes confirmed that they run the same code, they got the same result, and they signed the result. So you can implement it, and it's very simple in Aqua. So second thing is basically Fluence network, and again, Fluence network is network of heterogeneous network of nodes, no global consensus. Every node is different. Every node can provide different services or access to different data. And this is the important point here is that if you have networks such as Fluence, if you have this decentralized compute network, the cool innovation that you can have is quite similar to innovation you have on a blockchain, where your code being more autonomous from its author. So if I'm a developer and I created some code in a Web2 world, some application, I usually host it myself, right? I go and run the server, I put the code there, I control the infrastructure for my application. So if I want to turn it off or update it without asking my users, I can do anything. I'm the god of this application. And Fluence allows you to have like a sort of democratic or like community-owned applications, where basically if you deploy application to the network of nodes that are not controlled by the author of the application, now if I'm an author, I created some unpopular, like a new version of the application, the nodes may refuse to update, or like user may vote to not to update. So, and that would allow to keep the as many versions of the applications as users want, and let users more freedom in terms of choosing whatever version they use. And the same way as you have on the blockchain. If you deployed some smart contract, deployed properly, then you probably cannot really remove it. And you can only like deploy a new version and say, hey users, this is a new version. It's better than previous one. Do you want to migrate to this? So this is pretty cool. This is decentralization. Yeah, quickly roadmap. Aqua and Marine, Buzz Runtime, and Network live and running. You can build on it. We run some nodes as a community nodes by Fluence Labs. We are planning to launch the DAO and the governance for the network this year. It's not yet there. And what is also not yet there is the economics. So you can build on top of Stack, but you cannot pay nodes. Like there's no option to pay right now. So we're gonna spend a lot of time on developing and deploying like real economics here to allow developers to pay nodes for renting their resources and make sure that these incentives are aligned for all the network participants. And yeah, like this is gonna be super cool because like this is huge. Cloud is huge. There is a lot of innovation there in terms of pricing types and pricing methods, and there is a lot of innovation in terms of coupling it all with DeFi, this is going to be cool, but it's not yet. It's not yet there. Yeah, and there's also like thinking about a lot of use cases. For example, such a network can bring new way to monetize open source software, because if you have the on-chain economics, we also can have this economics transparent. Like if it's on a blockchain, it's basically automatically transparent. And then now if we have the application that consists of different components or like reuses other deployed applications or APIs in the network, then now we can see whichever component being reused across many applications. So now if you're an open source developer and you created something popular like database in Web2 world, and it being used across Fluence network, now you can earn a fee like from the revenue generated by all of these applications. And imagine like Web2 databases generate $1 billion of revenues to clouds, which don't go at all to authors of these open source databases. So now imagine you created some useful piece of code and a lot of applications started building on it and deploy to Fluence network and generate revenue to miners, to node providers. So now you can take a fee from this. This is super cool. Yeah, again, this is the link of the Network Explorer. You can check it out. And this hackathon, we have 2 prizes, I think, 2,500 USDC for best using of Fluence. So pretty excited about that. And that's it. Yeah, thanks so much. This is some of our links. We are hiring, and we are like happy to support you in any of our community channels. So please reach out to us and we will help. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Evgeny. Thanks, Evgeny, for this. As we know, Fluence is supporting this 6 weeks online hackathon, and we know that Fluence provides the critical infrastructure and the tools to enable decentralized compute for applications and the backend on peer-to-peer networks. For more details and resources, please check the website to see how to participate in the hacking with Fluence. We are looking forward to seeing you guys join the Fluence. Okay, so let's move on to our next guest, Stefano, head of platform from Longhash Venture. Longhash has successfully organized the Falcon Accelerate program to support builders to build with IPFS and Falcon. He will share us the topic about judging criteria from capitals and investors. I will stop sharing my screen and transfer to Stefano. Stefano, you can do your presentation right now.
All righty, let me share my screen. Just put it in presentation mode. Great, can you see it in presentation mode?
Yes, we can see it. Let's get started.
Great. Excellent, thank you, Dolores. And yeah, thank you for having me here. It's an absolute pleasure to be at the Web3 Infinity Hackathon opening ceremony today. I'm super excited to obviously follow through over the next couple of weeks on the progress of all the teams, and of course, ideally getting to meet some of them in person once we get to the final event around the middle of August. So super excited about that. Quick introduction. I am Stefano. I'm the head of platform at Longhash Ventures. I look after our accelerator program and partnerships, as well as venture building with our portfolio companies. So we're going to talk today about what do investors and accelerators look for when they consider early stage Web3 projects, either for investment or to accept them into their accelerator program. And I will give a little bit of an introduction to Longhash Ventures and talk a little bit about our great partnership that we have with Protocol Labs, our track record as an accelerator, particularly with some of the Filecoin cohorts that we've been running over the last couple of years. Then I'll talk a bit about, for us as an investor and accelerator, what is the typical criteria we use to evaluate early stage teams that we accept into our program. And then lastly, I thought that, in addition to the criteria, I thought I would also share, some tips and tricks for whenever you are, meeting an investor, when you're going through fundraising rounds, or you're applying to an accelerator program, whether it's ours or somebody else's. What are some of those tips and tricks that can really help you to articulate what you are building, what you are solving for, and effectively how are you going to go and execute on that plan. So maybe let me start first with an introduction to Longhash Ventures. So we were founded in 2018 as Asia's first Web3 accelerator. And we've been running various accelerator cohorts over the past several years. We're also one of Asia's leading Web3 VC funds, and we invest across the key Web3 verticals, including DeFi, NFT and culture, DAO and social, gamify and metaverse, and tooling and infrastructure. Some of the portfolio highlights, both from our investments as well as from the teams that have come through the accelerator, include Lit Protocol and Lighthouse, both of which actually came from our last Filecoin accelerator cohort. And then some other notable portfolio companies that we have invested in include Saga, dApp, Sapper, and Balancer. We're also a thought leader in the Web3 space. We have published multiple seminal reports on key Web3 topics, including a tokenomics blueprint for early stage Web3 projects to help guide them on how to think about tokenomics design, how to think about the utility for their token. We've also published a governance blueprint, also to help these very early stage Web3 projects on how to think about decentralization, not just of the technology, obviously, but also decentralization of the governance and the community, and how basically the protocol is run into the future, into the true spirit of Web3, as well as other multiple reports on various Web3 topics and Web3 verticals. And lastly, we are the go-to partner in Asia for protocol labs, and we run the Longhash X Accelerator Filecoin cohort. We actually just completed our recruiting for the third edition of this cohort, but not to worry, because we do actually run these cohorts usually twice a year. So, as you go through the hackathon, as you start to hack away at your idea, as the team starts to coalesce on an actual product and a solution, definitely, follow us, keep in touch with us, and potentially we can discuss considering you for our next hackathon, our next accelerator a few months down the line. Just touching quickly on our track record. So we've so far conducted 7 cohorts of our program. We've had over 50 projects that have been accelerated, and we've helped them raise over $100 million in funding, thanks to the investor introductions that we've made, typically after our demo day. We've had about 5 projects with valuations between 1 and 10 billion, and about 9 projects with valuations between 100 million and $1 billion. And some of the alumni highlights, both from the Filecoin cohorts and some of the other cohorts that we've run, you can see there on the screen. And lastly, the last point I wanted to make, as part of setting a bit of the context for the discussion today, what I wanted to share on the criteria for selecting teams that come through our program, is that for the teams that actually get accepted, we typically offer 5 things. So the first one is we do invest into every team that comes through the program. We also have a very structured Web3 native program where we have fortnightly workshops and fireside chats on topics like tokenomics design, decentralized governance, community building, and usually we invite leading Web3 investors as well as Web3 co-founders to join us for those discussions. We conduct in-depth venture building on Web3 native topics. We meet with you on a weekly basis to do problem solving. We can choose a topic like tokenomics design, like governance, like product design, and we'll actually help you to work through those topics hand in hand over the duration of the program. We also make an introduction to our mentor network. So it includes Web3 investors, Web3 founders, Web3 CTOs that can meet you on a one-to-one basis and answer any questions you might have about fundraising, about the entrepreneurship journey as a Web3 founder, on technical topics, depending on what you're building, and so on and so forth. And lastly, we have our graduation event, which is our demo day, where you get to pitch your product or your solution to investors, and then it kicks off your formal fundraising journey. So with the context out of the way, let me now talk a little bit about how us as an accelerator, as an investor, we typically think about evaluating early stage Web3 startups, and what's the criteria that we actually use to select the teams that get either accepted into our program or accepted for investment. And I will particularly focus on the teams that get accepted into the program, because I think this is what is most relevant to the audience, going through a hackathon, who upon finishing the hackathon will likely be looking at potential accelerators, to really boost the growth and take them through the next part of their entrepreneurship journey. So the 5 criteria we use to evaluate, number 1 is a team. Number 2 is the idea. The 3rd one is competitive advantage. 4th one is traction. 5th one is fundraising. So let me go through each one of these, and keeping in mind that given the early stage nature of the teams that we evaluate and that we assess to come through our program, usually team and idea are the 2 most important criteria out of all the 5 criteria. So starting with the team, what do we want to see? We want to see, first of all, we want to see teams that have the right technical depth. So teams that have potentially experience with writing smart contracts or smart contract code. Teams that have solid technical background, ideally in the Web3 space, but we also of course get a lot of founders that are making that transition from Web 2 to Web 3. So we want to see a very, very solid technical foundation, given that this is one of the critical elements required to execute on all of the solutions that we see into this space. We also want to see of course domain expertise. So for example, if you're building something around, let's say, music NFTs, for instance, ideally we'd like to see, one of the co-founders who perhaps, comes from that industry or has some experience, in that industry. If, for example, you're building, a game or some kind of gaming platform, again, ideally, we would love to see one of the co-founders, having that experience in their background, whether professionally or in some cases, we also see it from their educational background. So, very solid technically, very solid domain expertise. And of course, ideally, we also like to see, some track record where possible, whether it's an entrepreneurial track record, it could be a corporate track record, it could be a track record in university, given some of the teams that we evaluate for our program. Sometimes it's founders that are actually still, halfway through their university journey. So the reason why the team is usually the most important thing is, number 1, is that, of course, you can have an amazing idea, but ultimately we need to make sure that we have the confidence that you are going to be able to, execute on that idea, and take it forward and be able to execute on the vision and on the roadmap that you have. Now, the second, most important criteria then is typically the idea. And here, the typical questions that we ask the teams when we interview them or when we're reviewing the applications is we want to really understand, what is the problem statement? What are you really solving for? And do we believe that that is, a real problem that needs to be solved, or a problem that nobody else has really either solved or thought about solving? Or alternatively, it could be a white space, white space that is created because of a new idea, because of a new technology, or something like that. And is there significant value in being able to go after and capture that white space? And as part of that, the second part of idea is also understanding, what is the solution? What exactly are you doing, from a technology perspective, from a conceptual idea perspective, to either solve that problem, or to capture that white space? And so, having these two together as the most important criteria, I would say, if you are an early stage founder, these are the things that you really want to focus on, and that you also want to, make sure that you articulate when you're meeting with, accelerators, when you're meeting with potential investors. Now, going through the other criteria. So the next one is competitive advantage. Now, this one is a little bit related to the idea. One thing that we always see when we open up applications for our program is we see a lot of teams that, are aiming to solve similar problems, or sometimes the same problem, but sometimes with maybe like a different approach to the solution, or different components to the solution or so. And sometimes there might be some other semi-established Web3 projects that are already trying to solve that problem. Now, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't aim to solve it if you truly believe it's a problem to solve, or a white space to target. What's important is to make sure you understand, where do you fit, with a competitive landscape, and importantly is then how do you differentiate, and how do you actually create a moat, compared to other, early stage projects trying to solve the same problem. The next one is traction. Now, this one, I would say traction and fundraising usually have, I would say the lower weight when it comes to our assessment. Now, traction is usually more for teams that might already have a prototype, or, like an MVP, or have something that maybe is in like closed beta testing, or, friends and family testing, something like that. So if you have something, you've had a few people try it out, giving you some feedback, or, from a product perspective, or alternatively, if you're starting to build a community around your product and you have, a couple hundred or maybe a couple of thousand people, already kind of engaged or so, that's of course great to see. But again, given the very early stage nature of the teams that we consider, a lot of times some of these ideas are still very conceptual, and of course the traction is quite limited. And then the last one is fundraising, and again, this one I would say has relatively lower weight. We usually don't expect the teams that come out of hackathons and apply for accelerator to really have any formal fundraising. They might have a bit from some angels. Obviously a lot of times founders do their own bootstrapping. What we potentially like to see here is funds received, let's say, from hackathon prize money, or from grants awarded by an ecosystem, just as a way to see that, okay, clearly you're onto something. Some people have recognized that. And then you've been able to then, get a bit of money, to help you kind of keep going before the next funding period. So those are the 5 criteria. And again, just to recap, team and idea, by far the ones that we definitely think are the most important when it comes from teams coming out of hackathon events. Okay. Lastly, in addition to this sort of 5 criteria framework, I also wanted to share some tips and tricks, that you should keep in mind when you're applying to an accelerator or when you're pitching to an investor. And this is, from having reviewed hundreds and hundreds of applications to our program, and having gone through tens, if not hundreds, of interviews with founders. And again, take this more as things to always keep in mind, and almost like a list of some of the basic stuff you should have. So I think the first one is, have a very clear problem statement, right? So, the best, decks or the best teams that I've met are the ones that can very clearly articulate in one sentence, what is the problem you're trying to solve? Or what is the white space you are trying to address, just to make it very clear, to the audience, and then also to get them exciting, right? If it's a really tough problem, if it's a very large white space, it's a great way to start a conversation and to get the accelerator or the investor excited. The second one is, share as much information as you can about the team, right? As I said, team is, I would say, by far one of the most important criteria for us to assess the teams that we accept into a program. And so for us having, the social media or the internet presence, for example, an updated LinkedIn, a Twitter account, GitHub is super important, particularly for, the co-founder that might be playing the CTO role, so that we can actually see the history of, of that person from a technical perspective, from contributions, from things that they've been working on. And then other relevant background information that might not be on LinkedIn or might not be on a CV, for example, hackathons that you've participated in, Web3 communities that you're a member of, DAOs that you contribute to, anything like that is always very important for us to assess you as a team. The third one is do your research. When you find a problem to solve that you feel it's a real problem, that you think that you're very passionate about going and solving that problem, or trying to capture that white space, make sure that you do enough research on the space you're targeting, and particularly on understanding, who else is trying to solve this, and how are they trying to solve it, and how am I going to try to solve it. And how is that different to some of the other projects or solutions out there? How am I going to differentiate? And importantly, how am I going to build a moat? How am I going to make sure that, in an open source environment, how am I going to make sure that I can create, a solution that is also sustainable, and that somebody else can just come in and just copy it very easily. The fourth one is get into the weeds. I come across a lot of founders, and sometimes some of the technical founders, that they feel like they don't want to appear as being, too technical, and they may want to try to be a bit more, kind of business oriented. My advice is don't be afraid to go into the technical details of your product or the solution that you're building. Part of us as an accelerator, as an investor, to determine whether we truly believe that you have the right solution to address a problem or to address a white space is understanding how things work under the hood. And that also helps us understand how your solution might be different from, other solutions we might see, other solutions that already exist, in the market, and then be able to assess whether you'll be able to, build that defensible moat. And then the last one is, share your development roadmap. Make it clear where you are in the development process. Sometimes, the teams we come across, it's a conceptual idea. Maybe it's a light paper. It's an idea that is well thought out, but there's no product yet, and that's okay, right? Just make it clear where you are in the development process, and also very importantly, what are the milestones and the dates when you plan to hit those milestones. So, when are you going to have the first prototype, or when do you plan to have the first prototype or the first MVP? When are you targeting for testnet? When are you targeting for mainnet? All these details are also important, for us to understand, how long, might it take for us to see a product, and as well to assess, what is actually the feasibility, of your roadmap, also based on what you're trying to do and based on the team. So that brings me to the end of the session. So I hope it was really useful. I hope that as you go through the journey over the next few weeks, as your heads down building, once you start to think about, hey, I have a product. I've had, I've kind of iterated on something that potentially will be a business. I'm going to have to go and meet investors. I want to go and have to, potentially apply for accelerators. Hopefully this is useful mind map for you to keep in mind on what are some of the key things that that investors and accelerators look for. And like I said, we are now at the end of recruiting for the next Falcon cohort, but in a few more months we'll probably start recruiting for the one that comes after that. So definitely keep in touch with us. You can follow Longhash Ventures on Twitter at LonghashVC. You can follow me at CRXBury, or you can go to our website longhash.vc. we regularly update our audiences on our upcoming cohorts and the recruiting periods and criteria. So thank you so much.
Wow, that's really great, and that's really important for all of us, for the participants and all of us. So we're really happy to have Stefano here today to share the ideas about investing in Web3 and their perspective as the capital to build a Web3 world. We do need support from the investors and the capitals. So thanks again for our guests, and thanks for all the friends in our living room. Feel free to contact us if you have any other questions about the hackathon. Welcome to the official website of the hackathon page and the failsingapore.io, or they will post a registration page to sign up or learn more information. Please contact us through the Twitter, email, Telegram, or our email. You can see the contact information here. Also welcome participants into our Discord channel, interaction and communication. So everyone enjoy your hackathon journey. 好的，那再次感谢我们的几位嘉宾今天的到来和精彩的分享，让我们期待在2022年 Web3 Infinity Hackathon 会聚集更多的开发者，构建 IPFS 和 Faircoin， 也希望开发者们可以在黑客松的旅程中得到进一步的合作。期待 Web3 Infinity Hackathon 可以促进 Faircoin 生态的更加繁荣和社区的更加的这样丰富哈，共建共享 Web3。So thanks everyone to join us for the open day and the Web3 Infinity Hackathon open ceremony. We welcome everyone to speak out through our platform and promote the development of Web3 together. We do hope you have a great day here with us. See you next time.